You're a fraud.
You're a liberal hack.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Hack and the Fraud. My name's Ryan, joined, as always, by Nico.
G'day.
And today we're talking about Late Night with the Devil, the hot new horror film. It's been doing the rounds, got a lot of buzz, a lot of hype around this film, some negative, some controversy around the use of artificially generated art from an AI, but I think we've probably heard enough about... Oh, you haven't heard about that?
I haven't heard about the artificially generated AI. It must be from some of the flashback scenes or scenes with Johnny Carson or something.
No, it was the set, like the Night Owl's mural behind the stage, and a couple of the interstitial title cards, like the "We'll be back in a moment" and "Happy Halloween." Like those little title cards in between scenes. Those were also AI generated, and they didn't tell anybody until it came out, and people didn't like it at all. And to be honest, I didn't really care at the time when I heard about it. I was like, okay, whatever.
They should have kept that to themselves, really.
I think it is actually relevant, which we'll get into. Anyway, I just saw Late Night with the Devil. You saw it a couple days ago. What did you think of it?
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I was thinking a few pods ago, I was talking about the train wreck that is current modern films, in terms of not all, but you saw like with a lot of films are lazy. They just rehash and recycle plots.
Agreed.
I think the opposite is happening with the horror genre. I'll be honest. I actually think it's hitting a very good purple patch at the moment, and I think there's been a lot of really quality horror films, and I think kickstarted by not Midsummer, the one before, Hereditary. I think it's gone back into a quality. So I don't consider The Conjuring, Annabelle, Orphan really great films. I find them passable at best.
Whereas sure.
I find this new kind of era of horror films really quite good in quality. Like,
it's not the same, but I think I don't know which one came first. But if Get Out came first, I might even hazard a guess that may have been the sort of genesis for the popularization, at least, of sort of the elevated horror genre, where it's not just Friday the 13th sequels and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I didn't leave that one out. I sort of do consider Get Out to have its own subgenre that it certainly... I think it's more of a less a horror and more of a social commentary film, if that makes sense. But it certainly is an effective horror for sure. But
I do think that's what a lot of these horror movies are doing. They're doing like social commentary or like life commentary. Like the monster, it's always a metaphor for something else now. What happened to the good old days? Just a crazy guy.
So I mean, I consider Babadook part of the new era of
for sure. Well, and that was depression or whatever.
Yeah. So I think, and this is another two Australian directors, their first go, and
is it fully Australian? Is it? I did see it was filmed in Melbourne. I didn't realize they were Australian directors. That Talk to Me movie, another.
I didn't see that one. I know you didn't like it. Yeah. Maybe I'll like it. Look, I didn't see it, so I really can't comment. I don't want to say or think that I'll like Talk to Me, but maybe it's that the idea of someone coming in with a fresh perspective, with something fresh to tell. Like, I didn't think
that's what they say it was, but it wasn't.
Okay, yeah. Again, I'll take your word for it. If it's trash, it's trash.
Yeah. Well,
this was
I don't know. We'll see.
So Cameron and Colin Cairns, keeping the CCs, the alliteration. Look, I don't recognize any of their previous stuff. I think they've got Hamish and Andy, real stories. So that's their background.
I do like that. Australians have a chance to make a movie that's done the rounds and everybody made its money back and everything.
Produced by Screen Australia as well. So I mean, this is
nice. It's an Australian movie, basically. Well,
I had no idea it was an Australian film until after I sort of read up about it. So
mm,
it's I like that. It doesn't really need to have an Australian flavor at all.
no, it doesn't. No,
Yeah.
they might even listen to the podcast. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. We could realistically reach out to Cameron and Colin, and they could follow us. They're like, yeah, cool, we got some fans.
Well, I don't know if they're going to want to come on after what I have
But
to
you've
say.
got okay.
about
So
this
you didn't
movie.
like it. All right,
Yeah, I didn't like it. No, that's wrong to say that I didn't like it
okay.
because I hated it.
Wow, I really didn't. I did not see that coming. I did
You
not
didn't see it
like.
coming, yeah. Well,
I thought you'd be like lukewarm on it, maybe, but not hate. Hate's so strong.
it is. It is. It's like I've seen worse movies for sure. Not many though.
Wow. Okay, we are so far apart on this.
Well, should we say what I hated or what you liked first?
No, you go first, and I'll counter. It'll be interesting to see, like, because I don't think I hated much or I disliked really much at all about this. So I think we're just going to disagree the whole time. But you have the floor. You start.
All right. Well, first of all, it's kind of an entire shtick. Is the 70s talk show, the time and place. It's meant to evoke not just like a sensation of, it's meant to literally feel as if it is 70s production. Like they're using, it's kind of the found footage genre type thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's supposed to be using 70s film and then behind the scenes footage and stuff. But it felt so cheap, you know, obviously filmed on digital, slapped a videotape filter over the top of it. It's really not enough effort put in on that part. Like I think it should have been filmed on film or, you know, old, maybe, it's not, they don't have any digital cam then, but like the old TV cameras, that kind of stuff. For some of it, you can do the behind the scenes stuff a bit more, but I just felt like they put very little effort into making it feel like a 70s talk show. The entire set essentially was the AI art. The Night Owl's mural was the AI art, and
Okay,
maybe
so
yeah.
I'll pull you up on this. So what's the big issue with this? Like, if they hadn't told anyone it was AI art, they would have known.
Yeah, for sure.
So, similar to CGI, how it's used to enhance AI art. I see it like. So what's the issue? Is it just because they could have paid someone else to do it?
No. Well, that's the thing. Would I have noticed it? Would I be bothered by it if I didn't know? I don't know. Can't say. I don't know if I would have picked it, but knowing it, you kind of look at it and you look at the general set design, and it feels uninspired and lazy, and it kind of permeates throughout the rest of the movie, in my opinion. The level of attention to detail and care for the production that they're putting in. I get that it's a very low budget movie. They had like 9 production companies, but it felt like a really lazy attempt at its central shtick. Which that's kind of what makes the movie interesting, that it is a 70s talk show, you know, live on air this Halloween, you know, something horrible is going to happen on TV, and that's you're supposed to be immersed in it and brought into the world, but because it's so obviously cheap and obviously fake, and the little attention to detail,
But not obviously fake. I mean,
to me, it felt like
we didn't know about that until
no, not that specifically, like the whole aesthetic of it. It just felt so much like a 2024 movie.
Counter that. Sorry, I counter that with I don't think it's obviously fake. So I don't think that's certainly a reason why you didn't find it immersive, and certainly a reason why you technically had an issue with it, and you make some good points. But I don't think that's a universal thought. I didn't have that same problem.
No,
I'm not looking for the same things though. So I'm not looking for a reason not to be immersed, being that it's shot digitally and like I can't tell. So if I can't tell, like a magic trick, I'm not looking for any sort of out. And I think that's more representative of the greater audience, wouldn't you say? They're not going to be able to tell.
I don't think people care, but I think that it's indicative of the level of effort that's put into the film. Like it's not just, you can get away with doing it on digital. It's like, because it is the central premise of the movie, and also another aspect to it which brought me out of the film, I just found difficult to attach myself to in any way, was David Dastmalchian. I don't know how to pronounce his name. The lead, even as like a failing, like not very good talk show host, I felt that he was very miscast as like a Johnny Carson, David Letterman type talk show host. He doesn't have any of the look or charisma, and I know that he's not a very good one. He has to, you know, like a part of the the story is that he's kind of failing and falling down the ratings. But I still just don't buy basically anybody watching a talk show with him as
No,
the
but I
host.
mean, so again, I just don't find that so. Like, because who are the talk show hosts now? Jimmy Fallon,
Yeah, they're at
James
least
Corden.
like
No, what they're like this guy, like they're the same. They've got nothing to. Jimmy Fallon literally would cut off his own dick to continue his career. He does not have this sort of oozing charisma to warrant being a talk show host. We're not talking about Conan O'Brien. We're not talking about David Letterman. We're talking about.
But especially
there are a lot of them.
But especially back then, I feel like there has been a degradation of talent and entertainment over the last 30 years. I think in the 70s you had to be a talented like entertainer with like a bag of tricks, and you have all these different ways to entertain.
I don't know.
Whereas nowadays it's like James Corden or whatever.
Yeah, look, there's that point to it. There's obviously more talk show hosts, but at the same time, it was the 70s. I think if you look at Australian TV in the 70s, it was nothing special. Like Graham Kennedy, your folks love him, but he wasn't. He'd be okay if he was on TV right now. Like there's nothing really absolutely special about him. And there's a lot of 70s like show hosts who were just they're sniffing little girls. You know what I mean? Like you see that.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's a valid criticism.
Well, again, to me,
I think he's 70s handsome. I think he's like, so by that I mean he's like Ted Bundy, like unibrow, like he's 70s handsome. I could see him.
For sure.
He fits the bill look wise, I think. Charisma, I didn't find him charismatic, but I found him charismatic enough to be a talk show host in this particular film, and that he was very, very fake, and you could see, like that he was a shell of something.
Yeah.
I found that all fine and very believable. I don't think it was miscast. I thought he's well cast because he's always just some weird random guy in the Batman universe or Christopher Nolan verse or something. So I was happy you got like a go at
I was
being the main
excited
man.
to see him in the role, and I was hoping he would do a good job. But look, I think this is one where it's a matter of perception, and I perceived, and because a lot of the movie's appeal relies on the fact that it is a 70s talk show, because otherwise it's just kind of like your standard possession, satanic panic kind of horror movie, which we've seen a million versions of The Exorcist or whatever. So I feel like the 70s talk show element is kind of the hook to the movie, and you really need to get it really right. And a movie that I was thinking about was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and how, like, I know not everybody's going to be Quentin Tarantino, but the level of attention to detail to the scenes in that movie lends it such a believability to it, where it just feels like you're watching these people's lives unfold over this period of time, whereas this very much to me it felt contrived, and like they didn't commit to the bit enough for it to work. So I guess that's kind of like the main complaint that meant that I was going into the rest of the movie already a bit on edge and not enjoying it, waiting for it to impress me. We'll go into more of it, but ask me questions. What did you like? And we'll dig a bit more into it.
Yeah, sure. No, I think what we've got is basically the sort of fork in the road where I see where you've gone right and I've gone left. So where you've not really been convinced of the setting and basically that you said it was contrived and they weren't really committing to it, whereas I had no issue at all with it. Look, the Once Upon a Time comparison, you're looking at a difference in, I know it's obvious, but the talent of the director, the cast, and the budget. That's really it. I mean, it's incredibly hard to get that level of detail when it's someone's first go.
Film's expensive.
I didn't know it was his first go. That's the thing. So I'm not going into this thinking I got to give this guy, a real pat on the back. When you watch someone do a stand-up comedy first time or anything for the first time, you're a little bit more, that was all right. I had no idea. And so I was shocked when I saw it was someone's real first feature film. I think it's their first feature. Like, I can't think of any anything else. So,
I
and
found
knowing the budget they would be working with, no issue from me.
Sure. And look, there's bits throughout that just kind of added to it because, I mean, it's all in the same setting over an hour. So they're just kind of going through the TV show. But then they get caught up in the middle with the skeptic who wants to disprove it. But it got like very quickly to the point where it's completely unbelievable for there to be a skeptic anymore. But then they spend like another 40 minutes or so like dealing with this skeptic. Like, it's not really a spoiler. The girl levitates. It's clearly all right. Now we've proven the supernatural is real. We just saw her levitate, and then the characters kind of forget about it and go along for the next 40 minutes. Like it's trickery, it's hypnosis and stuff. It's like,
yeah, but there's lines and stuff. There's ways to trick people. Doesn't David Blaine do levitation? I'm pretty sure we all don't actually think he levitates.
Yeah, but that's different. It's like there's supposed to be no production from the main guy, from the host. They're supposedly watching this thing unfold, but there's lots of elements that are magical or like things, crazy things start happening. And instead of like going back and watching the tape to see if she actually levitated, he posits this whole hypothesis about how the entire audience was hypnotized, and we go through like a 10-minute scene about that. And he shows that the entire audience could be hypnotized to see the same thing of a guy, ripping worms out of his stomach. And then they decide to go back and watch the tape of the woman levitating, and then he sees the tape and he's like, oh, there's got to be a reasonable explanation, but he's clearly shaken and starts disbelieving then.
At that point, he knows he's putting his it's obviously a plot thing, but it's like he's got a check for $500,000 or $50,000, and he's now just trying to talk his way out of that. He's probably thinking, yeah, this is legit, and he wants in the club. We also saw that extra added scene where he's just basically just wanting his 10 minutes, 15 minutes of fame. That's his whole shtick is just to be on there and be the center of attention.
Be the skeptic, be the annoying. Yeah. And yeah, that character is kind of fine, but I felt like there were a bunch of moments where I can't remember specifically, but a bunch of moments where it was like, it's pretty clear at this point that we're past being a skeptic. And they kept pushing with that for ages and then randomly the movie kind of like ends in a big, crazy thing happening. And that's the end. And then there's the reveal about, we're getting the spoiler territory.
Yeah, but I think before acceptance, kind of like grief, is just denial. Like, your whole life that, devil worship and possession is most likely make-believe, and you're shown something that you can't disprove. So you're hanging on to everything, every fiber in your being's telling you that's not real until I think that's very human, to be honest. I've got this is the fork in the road. I've got no issues with any of the
it kind of felt like the classic horror movie, like where you're yelling at the characters, like, come on, you're obviously I'm honestly in a horror movie now.
It's not like that where there's like a killer outside, a Mike Myers, awesome pal. No, well, like doing hunting around, and there's like, well, obviously that could happen. Like there's a person we're talking about something that's supernatural, and I mean there could be explained, and you've got a skeptic there, and you're almost like, come on, fucking. Okay, please,
but separate from the skeptic, surely the other characters were still So David, the host, he has a moment where he sees in the videotape his wife, and he hears his wife's voice, and he goes, "I heard Minnie's voice," to the producer, and the producer's like, "Get it together. You're not, losing your mind too." Like they clearly haven't planned anything. So because they haven't planned anything, when they witness like this little girl turn into a monster and levitate and all of the electronics explode, they know that it's not them. So it's confusing as to why they don't believe it's supernatural. Because what else could it be? Like the little girl's levitating, and they didn't.
Like I said, it's a denial of what's happening. It's perfectly. It's not the same as that. I don't believe you. There's like no guy outside with a gun. we're safe. It's a little bit. It's different to that.
If my
it's
girlfriend,
it's not you yelling at.
if my girlfriend came in with this child, was looking after this child, and I knew that they weren't doing any trickery, and then the little girl turns into a monster and starts levitating, I'm probably going to just go like, yeah, that's crazy.
Get
That's
out.
not, you know, it's
No,
there
but
is supernatural stuff happening.
you had some film cameras, you had a television crew, you had a sound guy, and you think, okay, this is a prank.
Maybe.
Like, it's TV. They're on a television studio. They're not just in.
But they're the ones who
haunted house.
produce the show. Like, they're the ones who know everything that's going to happen.
But they're also like, you know, one person's got one job, another person's got. They don't all have an idea. Like, they're all just so out of sync as well, and we see that.
But the producer and the host know what's going to happen for sure. Like,
they don't know. They just literally want to be number one. Like that. They're just so goal driven.
And that seems crazy to me when when it is like fully supernatural and he's still like talking about the ratings and stuff. I'm like, they're like, yeah, tomorrow you're going to be like the hottest story on the New York Times. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the story is going to be the supernatural has been proven correct. Nobody's going to be like, oh, he was such a great host on that show. Let's give him more TV shows. It's like the entire world changes tomorrow. It's weird that you're still like, hey, tomorrow is going to be great for us after we hit the ratings. Like, we got 40 points or whatever. It's like, you're missing the larger picture that you've proven the existence of the devil. That's the crazy bit.
But again, they're not, there's still a level before accepting that. And I think they're at that level. And I think that's fair enough. There's a lot,
you know what it reminded? It reminded me of Now You See Me, where it's like,
no, that is, take that back.
Where it's
you
like,
know
it's
how bad that is.
Confusing what the characters are doing. Like, when in the Now You See Me, the twist is that he was the cop was the magician the whole time, and so all of his actions when he's by himself and nobody's looking at him and he's still in character.
It's just
as
so
the cop.
that's so
ridiculous.
Such a different thing.
It feels very
ridiculous.
similar.
I think you're literally trying to conjure a reason as to why this film is as bad as Now You See Me, and you're throwing your own feces at a wall and barely any of it's sticking. That's nothing like Now You See Me. Now You See Me is complete trash.
The characters.
This is nothing like that.
The characters
it really isn't.
No, it
really is
okay,
nothing
we'll
like
keep saying no, it isn't, because let me explain. It is exactly the same because it's characters who are doing illogical things entirely for just continuing the service of the plot. They thought of like this idea and they kept going with it, but it doesn't make any sense for the characters to still be in that mindset. Like,
I've already provided an argument against this, and you're just basically wading through it. Like, there's a level before accepting the existence of the devil and the supernatural. They're in that level there. It's not like they're going to just fucking flick a switch and believe everything. There's so many more levels. Like, there's a whole operating level of believability that they've got to overcome first. And we're looking. This is an hour. Now You See Me is completely different because the guy was a magician the whole time and he was acting as a cop. And he was acting as a cop while no one was around and at a bar. Yeah. And that makes no sense. That's completely different. You don't see how insane that argument is?
I think it's not the exact same scenario.
That's insane.
It's not the exact
like
same.
You are insane if you think that's the same. No, seriously, like it's so far apart. It's like you're trying to compare a fucking, well, they say apples and oranges, but at least they're both fruit. Like there's nothing relevant here.
Well,
all right. So you didn't like it. That's fine. But I don't look. I've liked the reasons you've listed. That last reason wasn't a good one. That was just.
I think you're
shit at a wall.
I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not just saying it's shit. Yeah. Like Now You See Me, and that's the end of why it's the same. But Harry, the host he's part of the Bohemian Grove. He did a deal with the devil to kill his wife to get to the top of the ratings. Now, maybe he didn't fully believe it when he did it, but he's at least in the fucking ball zone. He was part of the cult. He fucking drunk the blood or whatever. He did the ritual that meant his wife died so that he could have great ratings. And then when the devil shows up, he's still like, I don't believe in the devil, even though everything's indicating that the devil's real, which is in my mind like Now You See Me, because they have the twist of he's in the cult, he killed his wife to get to the top of the ratings. So his whole saying that he doesn't believe, he can't be pretending because he's part of it. He did the deal with the devil.
Part of it to be part of it. Like,
so you don't think that he really believed that the devil was real and that he was just kind of doing it to, you know, any chance to be the host?
I mean, that whole subplot was never really expanded upon beyond the fact that we know something happened. There was some, you know, late nights in the forest, and then he's almost in the deer in headlights when they were like, how did you know about that? How do you like? And so he's kind of not really. Obviously he's thrown by the whole thing. I don't think he's a problem there because he's losing control and he's not. He might sort of, you know, be saying the right thing to his own producer, but he's certainly not in his own right headspace about the whole thing because he's out of it. So that's what I mean. I just don't think you can really expect him to act logically in the scenario presented. Whereas the policeman, Mark Ruffalo, has got every reason because he's at a bar.
He's the leader. He's the leader of the whole thing. He's confident.
What I'm saying is you've listed the whole reason why Now You See Me is just complete shit. Like,
it's
it's already a bad film. But this is the worst part about it, what we've just said, is that whole twist doesn't make any sense. You know, you see how it just isn't sort of relevant and doesn't really catch on.
Does it not feel relevant in the sense of like the twist kind of undermines and makes some of the rest of the movie confusing? That's how I felt like after the, not twist, but the ending scene where it's revealed that he's part of the cult and he did the rituals and everything. And so he at least kind of believes in the devil and everything. And he's part of this real cult that did real horrible things.
It's a real cult.
So
but it's not a real, it's a sort of,
well, it's the Bohemian Grove, so it's like, is it fun?
It's a network.
It's
a network more than a cult.
So maybe he was doing it just to get in, and he didn't really believe it, but he went along with it, and then it kind of
was like, I lose my wife, I gain this other, you know, fuck buddy. Who's
anyway, we got,
like, it's not so...
We got stuck on a point, and I didn't mean to, but honestly, the two movies are in a similar level of me being confused as to how enjoyed they are by people and me really hating him.
Well, the thing is, I don't understand how Now You See Me has any fans. Like, so he's got a sequel too.
Yeah, it's got two
and maybe the cast and people just like magic and that's all. They just like the magic tricks and did not pay attention to any of the other plot points or the movie overall and just thought the magic tricks were cool. Or they took their kids along.
That's the thing. If it was magic tricks, I would like it, but it's literal magic. It's that I got tricked.
Yeah, no, but I think that the people who like it don't realize that at the end. They're not paying attention. Like, they're not your avid moviegoer.
Yeah.
I honestly I've never met someone who likes Now You See Me and has presented a good film opinion or anything else, like, ever.
Yeah. It's like the only movie they saw. This is the last movie they saw.
Maybe they accidentally like Interstellar. And it's like, oh, fuck.
All right, well, I'm sorry for comparing Late Night with the Devil.
No, okay, look, it's just, now You See Me is so shit, and we agree how shit it is, I felt like it was such a low blow. But I see what you're saying.
Justify
it. I disagree.
Explain yourself if you're going to make such
outrageous
claims.
You are on the right. So it's weird because it's got a 71 IMDb score, 72 Metascore. So about the same with audiences and critics. However, Roger Ebert listed as about a 2 out of 4. So they obviously they weren't too impressed with it. They didn't think it was that good. So I mean,
there are some.
It's contentious. It's a contentious movie. Not just on the AI point, but obviously,
that's almost neither here nor there. To be honest,
I think it is just a fork in the road for a lot of viewers.
To me, honestly, it's not. I don't have really that much of a moral quandary with specifically what they've done in this movie with AI.
Specifically, what they've done.
Yeah.
AI
like, maybe AI generally, and in different scenarios, I'll have a different opinion.
Hearing George Carlin do an AI bit,
radical,
does make me want to jump off a building.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson doesn't get a lot right, but he's got this theory that we should just bomb the data centers. That's what we should put our money towards. I was like, yeah, good point.
That's good.
So yeah, I'm not. The AI doesn't ruin the movie. I just think, in context, it feels symptomatic of some shortcuts that I feel they took with this movie. And I get that a lot of that's budgetary, can't be helped. But it's like, if you have a $10 million budget, you don't make like a giant space opera. You work with what you got. And if you want to take the shortcuts, then I'm allowed to criticize them for that and to not enjoy it. I mean, that's not, again, it's the story, it's the characters. Like the medium, the doctor who is looking after the little girl. So the little girl's 10 years old when she's rescued from this cult house where she's been raised since she was a child to be like a child sacrifice. And then for some reason, the state allows some crazy parapsychologist, she calls herself, to look after this child and do fucking weird experiments on her. And she's like so defensive of this child. And then she takes her on fucking
takes her on
live TV and
the 70s.
And does a seance, and the girl...
It was MK Ultra. That was around.
And then she gets like... She's like, I gave this girl such a good life. I care about her so much more than you. It's like, you 100% just exploiting her. She like wrote a book about her.
I think it's by design. I think it's by... I think
design? She's portrayed as kind of like a good character, the woman.
Well, I mean, she... Spoilers now, but I mean, I don't think there's really any good characters in this film. I include her because she was sleeping with the host.
The host, yeah.
And it's inferred strongly that this was happening while his wife was still alive. So
I thought it was just after. Like he was happy to lose his wife and get to have sex with other people. I think the demon said.
I certainly inferred it was happening before.
Right, sure. Anyway, she might. Yeah. But
so I don't think she was a good character by any sense. But
like as harsh on her as it should be. Like it allows her to. Maybe I'm misreading it, but I felt the movie wasn't really saying that she's bad necessarily, which is odd. Like she was the one who was like looking.
My perception was that these are all just sort of bad people making not bad and good, but like great people making bad decisions, including her. And you know what happens to her at the end? We'll see if you want to see.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Kind of forgot. Yeah, look, I was just going to say on that point. Technically, aesthetically, look, I don't disagree. It's just that wasn't really an issue for me, almost at all. Like I didn't even think about that. Maybe I should be thinking about that a bit more. Sure, but you know what I mean? So I was sort of thinking, look, the aesthetic for me isn't good enough. Doesn't need to be great. And I thought I was a pretty effective, I'm not going to say first time movie because it could have been his fifth and I'd still enjoy it the same. So anyway, ratings. Look, I'm not just being contrarian, but I really did love this film. 8.5 for me, bordering on 9. So that would be 4.5 stars, more than 4. So I enjoyed it that much.
I don't know. I think even looking past a lot of the stuff we said, it is. I found it kind of by the numbers. It's a possession movie. When the girl has a possession scene, she gets the same voice that we've seen in every possession movie, and she says stuff not exactly but similar to "Your mother sucks cocks in hell" or whatever. Yeah, she levitates, some glasses smash. There's nothing really exciting going on in terms of the possession exorcism, in my opinion. And then, as I said, I don't think the setting, the time and place is effectively evoked enough for me to be into it. And characters making perplexing decisions and just generally being perplexing. So there's not much I liked about the movie. I gave it like a 1 star. So
yeah, well,
that's it. Just like I was rolling my eyes through
less than June.
Less than June. More than Unfrosted though. No, less than Unfrosted. Okay. Less Unfrosted beta. Sorry. Yeah.
That's a good segue into Unfrosted. Should we we'll end the tape and start a new one?
It's about to end, so I'll start. Yeah, put in the new one. All right, give it a sec. How you doing?
The hit latest comedy by Jerry Seinfeld.
The biggest comedy of the summer? Maybe.
Their
There's
summer,
not many comedies.
our winter.
Yeah. The winter of my discontent, really. What do you think?
Yeah, so yeah, look, I'm probably going to agree with everything you say on a movie front. As a movie, it's pretty goddamn awful.
It's not
And
even
so
really a movie.
it's not really. It's a series of gags.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a series of gags, there are some funny gags and there are some stupid gags, and it's
Yeah.
mostly pretty stupid. Cast is decent. It's basically a who's who of everyone who signed the pro-Israel. Amy Schumer, Jerry Seinfeld, and the rest.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Liev Schreiber. No, I didn't see him in, but it was, man, it was. I'm sure Jim Gaffigan was on the. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the film.
Yeah, he's like.
I mean, so they got some A-list comedians. So therefore, it's going to have funny bits. Like there are bits that I'm laughing at, and I suppose maybe the most contentious thing I'll say about the film is the film better than a lot of the modern comedians? Obviously not. It's not a good film at all. Is it funnier than a lot of the modern comedians? Kind of, yeah. Like, unfortunately, it is. Like Blockers is an example I always go to. Is a sort of the sort
really?
of
That's an example you always go to.
I don't know. I just think of that as the typical kind of
sure, yeah,
yeah. Just everything about it. Game night, where they're better films, but it's from a gag perspective and a laugh out loud perspective.
Maybe
it's just not there. Like you get a couple of chuckles.
So what do we want? Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. That's exactly right.
See, I think it does actually have some movie. You know what? As movie elements, the movie that it reminded me the most of was fucking The Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers. Like,
really?
Yeah, like it's almost a classic comedy in a way. The way
aesthetically,
the way it sets it up, like. You know, that he's telling a story and it's a whimsical world. It's kind of like a children's book version of, it's kind of like a Dr. Seuss book version of the story of Pop-Tarts, which nobody fucking knows about and nobody cares about Pop-Tarts. I don't know why he's still obsessed with it, but look, it's a jumping off point. And it's got the classic, like the villain Amy Schumer plays, like the villain, the CEO of the company who's evil and hates children and stuff like that. So it's she's got a gay.
I think she was off script for that. she added that part on, dude. Yeah. Wow, Amy.
I can see why you want to do Unfrosted. You've got your little set list down of bits to do on Unfrosted.
No, well, I mean, the thing with Amy Schumer is almost the most annoying thing about her, if you really hate her, is that she is funny. Like, she's unfunny in this film. No, she's unfunny in this film, but she. Okay,
is she
so
funny?
maybe is the wrong word. Was funny. Yeah, Trainwreck was hilarious.
Oh yeah,
she's really good in that.
Fun. Yeah, Trainwreck was funny, but
she used to do roasts and she used to do all these. Even a show. I honestly used to like her. The worst annoying thing was that she is a joke stealer. And I was like, oh, fuck. And she's obviously just a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah, I think people picked on her out of sexism back in the day, misogyny. And now it's legitimate.
Like, see?
She really should dislike her as a person.
I told you.
Yeah, there's a lot
I've been
of that going
saying
around. Yeah, it's like the right-wing guys who have always hated Jews are like bumping elbows.
Yeah, Israel.
Like, hey, am I right, guys? All right, settle down, Jake Flores.
Yeah, I guess it.
Right,
yeah.
See, they control all the banks. All right,
see,
man.
Biden.
Yeah. All right, settle down, Tiger.
So I mean, I like obviously not now, but like I certainly used to find her funny.
Yeah, she's got.
And then you got the rest of the cast is pretty. Yeah. No, she's not good in this. But they got Schmidt from New Girl. They got all these fellas, all these.
Jim Gaffigan, I thought, was probably the best part of the movie. He's pretty funny. He has some good line reads.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the first joke.
I think what was also funny was this came after Oppenheimer, and they basically kind of mirrored the whole, atomic bomb getting all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
scientists together. I don't know. I
It
thought
kind
that
of
was
is a
pretty-
parody of Oppenheimer. I think probably this
Yeah.
movie was written in the last 3 months. Quickly
Yeah,
filmed
it
it.
felt like it. No more than 3 months. I don't.
Oh yeah, that's from script start to fucking wrap. Yeah,
So
like
I mean, that's the thing. I was,
it's just
and you
Jerry.
know what else?
Yeah.
The other thing I found really interesting is so Jerry obviously came out infamously before the film was released and said left wing. The left wing is ruined comedy.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Wokeness.
paraphrasing. What did
Yeah.
you say?
Yeah,
Remember?
it was like something like that. Essentially, yeah, wokeness.
And I now don't think he said that thinking it. I think he's just
Getting
like
ahead of
I
the
wouldn't
press.
have watched this film had he not said it. Like
You're
I like
thinking,
do
here
you
we
know what I
go.
mean?
He's going to
Yeah,
really
that's the
push
thing.
the envelope. No.
Exactly. I think it was just a ploy. It was and a pretty smart one at that. I think a lot of people, like maybe you and me, watch this for
Well, I think
that
even
reason.
just getting
We're
it
just
out
like,
in
fuck, let's check out your
You get a new
non-left wing
movie.
humor.
Yeah, well, because I didn't even know
Cutting
about
edge.
the movie. I didn't even think about it until all those Jerry articles came out, and then it's suddenly, I guess I'll watch it along with the articles about his wife donating to beat up Palestinian protesters, which I guess that settles the debate over who's the funny one of the two of them.
This is why it's good. I mean, this is why we do it. This is what he wants. Yeah, it was engagement farming.
Yeah, he was.
This film was just it.
And he's done it. He's succeeded. I assume a lot
This
of
was the
people have seen
engagement
this
farm
movie.
tweet of a film.
Netflix is probably
get
going to do another one now. But
Yeah.
and we don't need it because as I say, like there's some funny jokes, but it's not ever going to turn into a classic comedy. It doesn't have enough movie bones to it. And even half the jokes don't land because you can kind of tell the jokes that are written by Seinfeld are actually the funny ones. I am like, as much as we can, Jerry Seinfeld, there's enough to criticize him about. I still think he's a funny guy, you know? He writes funny jokes. And all the best jokes in this movie.
You can't criticize him for being unfunny.
A lot of people do.
That's
A
not
lot of people are saying Seinfeld
do.
not funny. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's not true. I mean, but it's true that they're saying it. But I think with Curb Your Enthusiasm having its finale, and a lot of people have been sort of lionizing Larry David over the last little while, and using that as an opportunity to argue that the success of Seinfeld was all Larry David, and any flaws in the show were Jerry. And I don't think that's true.
No, that's just it's not realistic. He's just like, you don't have to like him.
No, yeah.
Do you like Louis C.K.? I mean, probably so. No, as a film, I think so. You mentioned your rating just to start with was a half a star out of
No. I gave it 2.5.
Oh wow. Okay, so you
2.5, 5
came
out of
up.
10.
5 out of 10. No, so mine was 4 because I
gave it an extra.
Sorry, not 4 stars, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, 4 out of 10.
2 stars.
Because there's enough jokes.
It's not a good film, but I was laughing.
Yeah, I laughed with as in maybe not even 45% of the jokes or whatever was my rating.
Yeah.
2.5, so 50%.
I didn't want to laugh too. I'm not going to this film like really
super excited for it. Like, this is going to be hilarious. I can't wait.
I'm not exactly an excited audience member.
I'm like, let's kind of see what. Because it sounds like it's going to be a train wreck. It sounds like it's just
we're like, all right, Mr. Cutting Edge of comedy. Let's see where he is.
If you still got it. And he's still kind of got it. But again, he's writing for 12-year-olds, I guess. It's kind of like it's set up as a children's movie, like Cat in the Hat. But then none of the jokes would really, like, the first joke that made me laugh was when Jim Gaffigan, because they're like setting up that it's the 60s, and Gaffigan opens the newspaper and he goes, Vietnam. That sounds like a good idea. And I laughed. It was pretty funny. But like, kids aren't going, like 12-year-olds aren't enjoying that joke. So I don't know who the movie's made for, because it is set up as a children's film. And then it's only adult jokes, really. Apart from when he has to run through a bunch of farting cows, which I guess that's for kids. That's very unfunny.
That was for them.
Yeah,
one for me, 20 for me, 1 for them.
Look, there's not much to say about this movie. I don't know why
Yeah,
we did a
no,
fucking
it's
pod on it. I might just stitch it together with the other one.
about it. I'm trying to remember what else happened. I mean, yeah, Christian Slater's in it. I think it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
sort of like
Useless.
people keep appearing in it. You're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
A lot of people owe Jerry a lot of favors.
Yeah, I don't know.
Clearly.
Well, I mean, some of them will. Yeah, Christian Slater doesn't get heaps of work nowadays, but he didn't really do anything in the movie either. So
No, he wasn't even the main guy. It was Peter Dinklage, another one who just showed up.
yeah, you're right. We didn't need to do another podcast. 10 minutes of that is enough. Unfrosted. Neither of us really liked it.
I was kind of
really
keen to do
worth
a pod about it as soon as I finished it, and then I'd kind of forgotten what happened a week ago. It is really, it's like a mindless TikTok movie. You know what I mean? Like it's like you forget it the next day.
It's a Saturday Night Live. It's not even a Saturday Night Live, but it is like a sketch dragged out over a movie.
Yeah. With a lot of SNL people on it too.
Actually, I will say Melissa McCarthy, I thought was pretty funny as well. I thought she was good.
Mm. Yeah, she was good.
Probably the highlight. Who else?
They sort of. You want to go to the moon, or
yeah, we're not going to the moon. That's pretty funny.
Just little things like that. It's like okay, so it's not on the same level of like I don't know what kind of laugh this is, but the laugh at how ridiculous, and it's like a meta kind of laugh, a Tom Green, Freddy Got Fingered kind of laugh. You know what I mean?
Which one?
No, I'm just saying that's the sort of laughs you're often getting. You're just like,
sure,
that's so stupid.
Yeah,
but it's funny.
It's kind of funny
it's
that
so
Netflix
stupid.
has spent like $100 million just for like the exact same amount of effort and content that Jerry. I feel like his entire life he's done the exact same thing, like write these whatever jokes on a notepad. But instead of him just doing stand up at a dingy pub or whatever, or like doing the Seinfeld TV show or whatever, which was also cheap, it's like $100 million Netflix movie, and the whole movie's kind of going like, why? What? Netflix gave us $100 million?
What if Pop-Tarts?
So yeah, exactly. It's the same jokes, but for no reason, $100 million. It's probably not $100 million, but it's probably way too much.
I don't think his Pop-Tarts bit. I'm sure he's done it. I've never seen it before in stand-up, but I imagine that he's done like a whole bit, and it's never killed with the crowd.
No,
he's like, I really. It's like, no, I've got something here. I'll show you guys. I'm gonna do a whole movie on Pop-Tarts, and you'll see.
I also forgot Hugh Grant's in it, and he's
Hugh Grant's in it. That's right.
Kind of also like a secondary villain, just like a fun character to have on the side. It's these moments where the movie is kind of almost trying to be a movie, but it never really goes through with it. I didn't think the directing was that bad, though. I'm sure Netflix has like a whole. There's Jerry.
Okay.
I'm sure Netflix has a whole host of producers and technical staff that will help you direct a movie. But a lot of Netflix shit looks shit, whereas this, kind of looked like a real movie that they used to make.
Yeah, like a proper go at it. I suppose, that's really, that's all we can say on it.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else to say. We agree it's a terrible film. Would I recommend it? No. Would I not recommend it? Also no. You know? I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
if you tell me you're watching it, I'm good. Go for it.
Yeah, if you got time, I guess. All right. Yeah, that'll do.
Oh, I'll just say, final sign off. I know this was the last pod, but is that the furthest away we've ever been ratings wise?
8.5 and I guess 2.
I think that's got to be right.
Boyhood.
But we didn't pod about Boyhood. I know you gave it 10, and I gave it 1. Yeah. I don't know if I gave it 1, but I certainly wasn't 10.
Of the podcast so far, I'd say this is probably...
It's got to be, yeah. That's far. That's very... Which is good. It's healthy. Parody.
And it makes you look at things differently. Because you've seen movies, you like movies, you know what movies are like, and you really liked it.
I love how disappointed you are. You're just like, you idiot. You absolute.
No, I'm joking. I'm definitely harsh on it. It's rubbed me the wrong way specifically. And hey, you might like to get rubbed that way. That's it.
That's it. It rubbed me right. That itch.
Yeah, one man's scratch is another man's rub and tug.
There we go. All right, that's
from
a good
Simon.
duo.
Yep,
That's
good.
good stuff.
I'll just stitch them together. I reckon. Do
Yeah.
one. All right, enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed that, everybody, and catch you next time.
See you on Patreon.